So lecture number 8, row space, column space, row and column rank, and partition matrix. This is very important concept, and this concept relate actually vector space with matrix. Matrix is a concept, vector space is a concept, and this concept, this row space, column space, actually this relate concept of matrix and concept of vector space. We know that matrix is the arrangement of some elements. It may be abstract element, but in our case it is the element of field, and this matrix can be thought as bunch of rows together or bunch of column together. But matrix is not just a bunch of rows and bunch of columns. It's something more, and we have to just study what is something more, why it is something extra than bunch of rows. So first, thought matrix as a bunch of rows. So row vectors of the matrix. So this is a matrix. It's a matrix. This 4 cross 1 3 matrix. So the rows are 1 2 1 4 0 1 1 0 1 and 1. There are 4 rows, so 4 vectors, and all vectors in R3 or in F3. So if A is a matrix of n cross n, so there are actually n vectors n, each are in Fm. So these are called row vectors. Now these vectors is in Fm, the n vectors. Now we can think, or we can talk about the independency, spanning set of this thing. So first of all, so we consider what is the space generated by these vectors. This is called row space. What is row space? Row space is nothing but the span of these row vectors in row vectors. In row space. So row space is the span of these vectors. Now, how do you find row space? How do you find row space? So think this. So this is a matrix. This is one row. This is the next row, and so on and so forth. This is another row. Now, if we multiply it by another column matrix, this is n cross n. So there are n many rows and m columns. So each rows are actually element of Fn, m dimensional vector. Now this should be m cross 1. So this is element of, sorry, yeah. If you multiply this first element will be go, no, not, you have to pre-multiply. If you pre-multiply, by 1 cross n, so it's the element of Fn, not Fm, Fn. Now, the first scalar is, say, black, this one. Second scalar is this. Third scalar is this. And if we multiply this, clearly we see this is nothing but, because this first element always multiply, this will be what? This will be a m cross 1 cross m. So that will be a row vector of Fm. Now, what is a row vector? Row vector is nothing but this first scalar multiplied with this first vector plus second scalar multiplied by the second vector, because the second element always multiplied with the second row. So that's why this matrix multiplication is this way. Why this is matrix multiplication in this way? Here is the motivation for that. Then the third scalar with the third one. And this vector is actually represented as the matrix multiplication with this n vector dimensional vector with this 1 cross n matrix with the n cross n matrix. That means the row space is nothing but the collection of all such things. That means the row space of A is collection of all such some x A. One cross n, x is 1 cross vector. Collection of all this, where x is any vector on in F. This is a collection, because for if you take a fixed x, if you choose a x, and that if you pre-multiply with that a, then this will give a linear combination of the rows of A. Conversely, if you take any element from the row space, that is nothing but a linear combination of the row vectors, and if you just collect the coefficients of each row vectors, just put in a rows in a 1 cross row n dimensional row vector, you will get this that x. So this story. So you can think in both way. You can think this is a linear all the linear combination of row vectors, or we can think as xa, where x is any row vector of Fn. So that means your row space is nothing but a linear transformation. So it is a linear transformation from your what is this linear transformation from you pick x, so it is Fn to Fn. So we know matrix is like a linear transformation. So matrix itself is a linear transformation. This matrix actually coming from A, so you can put TA. Now, how this linear transformation constructed? That if you take any element from Fn, the output will give xa, and we know this is a linear transformation for a fixed A is fixed here. Now, it is clear that this row space is nothing but the range of this linear transformation. So range of this linear transformation, that is all the outcome, all these element like x into A, and A is fixed. This range actually the row space. So this matrix TA is behaved like a linear transformation from Fn to Fm X goes to XA, and this linear transformation, the range of this linear transformation gives the row space. Similarly, for column space, we will see that this is nothing but a, we can think this matrix as a linear transformation from Fn to Fn. We can think this as a Fn to Fn. Another transformation, say P dash from Fm to Fn. How? Take any x from Fn, you get Ax. Now this will give actually collection of all this range will be give range of this P prime will give actually collection of all such Ax, that means column space. This is called column space. Column space of A. Because when you post multiply by X, that first element of X will be actually multiplied with the first column of the A. And this first element of X has no effect on the other column. So it is just the first element of X scalar multiply with this first column vector. So if we think A as a Ax, linear transformation Ax, then this linear transformation, range of this linear transformation gives your column space. If you want to find the row space, you will need A in the opposite side. You have to consider A as a linear transformation from X to X. So this is row space or row vectors. Row space is nothing but a linear transformation, and you can think A in two different way linear transformation, and that will give you two different space, row space and column space. So what is row rank? Now dimension of the row space is a vector space. Row space is a vector space. It's a span of all these row vectors. This space generated by the all row vectors. So it is a subspace of this row space is a subspace of what? Fm, and column space is subspace of Fn. So that dimension of the row space is called row rank of the matrix. So row space, say R of a row space, is same as actually this range of T in terms of not X into it. Ta of X is X into this row space of this is range of Pa. So dimension of this row space is same as dimension of the range, and this is called rank. This is called rank of Pa. The linear transformation, rank of the linear transformation. There is a nullity and there is a rank. Nullity is a dimension of the kernel space, and rank is a dimension of the range space. Now this is actually by dimension of the row space, which is by definition row rank. So row rank of A nothing but rank of the linear transformation Ta, where Ta is such a transformation such that XTA Ta of X apply on X is X into T. Similar for column. This some see column of is nothing but range of this another linear transformation T dash A, where T dash A apply on X is X A into X, and this will give your column rank by same definition with the rank of that linear transformation. There is an interesting result. Row rank same as column rank. But why this row rank is some sort of amazing? Right? It is a row space in Fn and column space in Fn. Two different space, two totally different vectors. There is no link between these row vectors and column vectors. Still, their dimension is same. That means this matrix have something more than row and column. which actually tied together. This matrix you can think as a rows, there is some properties, think as a column, some properties. But when you go to the common thing, it's actually this matrix structure have something which leads to that result, that row rank is same as column rank. Now, there is an interesting and important thing is, if you have a two different matrix, and if they are row equivalents, and we know the row equivalence is a equivalence relation. Row equivalence is an equivalence relation. Row equivalency. So A row equivalent to B, B row equivalent to C, then A equivalent to C, and A is equivalent to B, then B is also equivalent to A, and A is equivalent to A. So now easily you can think see that the row space of A is same as row space of B. Two different row equivalent matrix are the same row space. Why? It's clear, because it is two row equivalence matrix means there is a matrix A and you have a row elementary row operations and you will reach B. Now, every time what is changing? You are changing one row, or if you interchange two rows. If you interchange two rows, the same row set vectors, just ordering is changed. So spanning set will be same. Now, if you multiply by some non-zero constant, that means a vector is multiplied by non-zero constant, and that will give the same generating set, because it multiply non-zero vectors. And if you replace some, there is a v1, v2, and any other. If you replace say v1 and v2 by v2 plus cv1, these two set as same spanning set, because v2 can be written in terms of this, the new set, and this new set, the only new vector v2 plus cv1. C, remember, c is not equal to 0. Or if c is 0, then it is actually no need of that. If c is 0, it is the same thing. And the second new set can be written as a linear combination of the old set. Another linear combination, again a linear combination. That's why these two set are the same generating set, same span, same span, not the generating set, same span. So that these two matrices are the same row space. Since it is A equivalent to B, B then equivalent to C, C equivalent to D. So row space of A is same as row space of A1, row space of A same as A2. So row space of A is same as B. Now the converse question is, if there are two matrices which have same row space, is this matrix a row equivalent? Two matrices are the row same row space. The same is the same row equivalent? Yes, obviously, because is any row of B can be written in terms of the combination of the rows of A, linear combination. Every row of the B can be written in the linear combination of A. That means B is nothing but a matrix multiplication of some P, PA in the form PA, P into A, because we need to multiply that X, all the collection of the coefficient from the left. So it is PA. So B equal to PA, and this you can check, this P is actually non-singular. It's a collection of some product of elementary matrix. So now any non-singular matrix can be written as a product of elementary matrix. So you need that elementary operations. So if A and B are row equivalent, you first find P, To find P, what you have to do? Take a row of B, find what are the coefficient that gives the first row of B, put in the first row, do this for everything, every rows, you get a matrix. That matrix is non-singular. You find the elementary row matrix, which product is this, and apply that elementary row corresponding elementary row operations. You'll get this B. So that means every two row equivalent matrix has the same row space. So this is nothing new actually in terms of row space. That means dimension will not be changed, rank will not be changed. So if you give a row equivalence or elementary row operation, rank will not change, dimension will not change. But the row space has different bases. Say you have more than one choice of basis. So question, if the next question is, how do you know that two matrices row equivalence if it's not a same row space? But how do you find? Now, if you somehow we can get a basis which is unique in some sense it is unique for a subspace, if you can find a basis which has some extra condition on that basis, ordered basis, extra condition, such a way that every subspace has a unique such basis, ordered basis. The ordered basis is not unique. The basis is not unique. The ordered basis is not unique. But can we impose some extra condition on the ordered basis such that this ordered basis will be unique for every subspace? Then we just, for every subspace, we find that unique ordered basis and we match with for two different matrices. We find two different, if you get two different unique bases, that after imposing the conditions, then it will be not row equivalence matrix. If they will give same ordered basis, they will the same row space. Once we get the same basis, obviously they are row equivalence. The question is, how if it's not a row equivalent, then how do you find it's not a row equivalence? It's not easy to show that they're not row equivalents. But if it is row equivalence, then it is easy to find a common basis for that. So we need such a basis which is unique in some sense, and this is nothing but a row reduced echelon matrix. This row reduced echelon matrix is unique. So you have a collection of matrices which are all row equivalents to each other. This is actually partition. The class of this is a set of all matrices. This is a set of all matrices of n cross n, and you start from A. You will go to the every row reduced row equivalence matrix, and you get a collection, which is a part actually gives the partition of this all set. This is a equivalent classes of A, because every equivalence relation forms a partition, and this is a equivalence class. And this equivalence class, what is the equivalence class means? If you take two different matrix in this class, you will get the same. You will the row equivalence. If you outside the set, A and C is not row equivalent. Now we know this collection has a unique matrix. There is a unique matrix for every collection. There is a unique matrix which is row equivalent to the all matrix of this class, and unique in some sense. In that sense, is the echelon form. If this matrix is echelon form, there is a one and only one echelon matrix in this every class. Every class is one and only one echelon matrix, row reduced echelon matrix. So take that matrix actually, take that row reduced echelon matrix, and we know how to get the row reduced echelon form from a matrix. So start a matrix. Once you give a matrix, you first find the row reduced form, echelon form. That means this is the prime element of this equivalent classes. Now take another matrix, go to the row reduced echelon form. If you get this echelon form matrix, a match, This is in the same class. We not met now different class. And row reduced echelon matrix gives actually the basis. Is a row reduced echelon matrix gives the basis because there is some not the all the non-zero rows. The non-zero rows will give you the basis. Row reduced echelon matrix such a way that this will form a basis. Non-zero rows, all the non-zero rows, and you can easily find what is the rank. The only thing you have to prove that the row reduced echelon matrix is always exist for a matrix, and that we already proved. How we get not only it is uniqueness, you have to find the computational procedure also. How do you get the row reduced echelon matrix of a matrix? What is the method? First, you have to give the algorithm. Yes, there is algorithm. Then you have to prove this algorithm converge, terminate. Yes, we can prove that algorithm terminate. Next, we have to prove this terminate to a unique matrix. Yes, we already proved that it is terminate to a unique matrix. Start from a matrix. We can go to several ways. To go to the row reduced echelon matrix, we can take a different path. If it's like a graph, if you take as this is a graph, linked graph. Is every edge actually the two edge is a two matrix in the same edge. That means one matrix is the just the elementary row, one single elementary row operation. That means just a product P multiplied by the elementary matrix. And you have several paths to reach that unique choice. Why this terminate the same echelon? You have to prove that, and why this algorithm reach there. And next question is algorithmic question: is this algorithm is the best, or we have another algorithm or better algorithm, more less time algorithm? So this sort of question will be there. So that's why these row reduced echelon matrices are so important. This is unique. There's a one and only one such a matrix in every equivalent classes, row equivalent classes, and this gives you the basis of this row. Not only this uniqueness, this will also give a basis to you. Basis of this row space. So column is same thing. Everything can do with the column. In that you have to take just x in the right hand side. Take all such x such that x belongs to Fn now. N cross of Fm, and this is a subset or subspace of Fn. Same thing we can do. Because this element is always multiplied with these rows. Next, this column, first column. Second column always multiply the second element. Third column always multiply with the third element. And this will give, what this will give? This will give this scalar with this column plus this scalar, the next scalar with this next column vector plus this the next one, and dot dot dot. And so on. Similarly, you can have an idea of column equivalency, and this also equivalence relation. And there is a column reduced echelon form that will give you a basis of column space. This is unique, and we can find the column rank is the same as the dimension of this column space, which is nothing but a rank of this linear transformation. This linear transformation, x goes to x, and next we prove that these two rank, these two dimension is same. Very amazing and interesting result. These two are same dimension. They are in the different vector space, different dimensional vector space. But interestingly, the subspace are the same dimension, and that is called the rank of the matrix. Rank of the matrix is the common number, rank, row rank, and column rank. Now, there's important thing now. What is the connection of all these things with the system of linear equations? How do you connect all this linear transformations, this row space, rank with the system of linear equation? Now think, what is the system of linear equation? System of linear equation is just what is this? It's something. Okay, Ax. You can write in terms of matrix. It is Ax is equal to some B. So this is system of linear equation, and we talk with this solution space. Now think, this is a different way. We just collect all Ax here. To get the row column space, we collect all Ax. But here we collect all X, not Ax, in the solution space. That is something with this codomain part, domain part. Now just think for the homogeneous system of linear equation. What happened? Think about homogeneous. Now, what is the two different things? Interesting. So this is column space, and this is a solution space. Now, this is a kernel basically. This the transformation from X to Ax. This is the kernel basically, and this is the range space. So dimension of the range space here, this is rank transformation, and the kernel is knowledge, and we know that this sum of these two dimension is what? N is X is m dimensional, so it is m. So the m dimensional, yes, A is n cross m, so it is m dimensional. Number of variable is m. So rank nullity theorem, that is sum of the dimension of the solution space plus the dimension of the column space is just equal to m, the number of variable, that the dimension of X. And you can easily check that for R3, say it is R3. What is the homogeneous system of linear equation? Basically, every equation is a plane, gives a plane, and if there's a two equations, which is a 2 cross 3, is 2 cross 3. Two equation, 3 unknowns. That means it gives a two different or maybe same plane. If it's two different plane, independent, this is the two rows are independent, dimension is 2, then you will get actually the solution is a line. We know the solution is a line. And where is the row space? Where is the row space? We know the solution is a line. But where is the row space? Row space, you can just think and you can easily find the row space is nothing but a plane which is perpendicular to this line and passing through the origin. The plane passing through the origin and perpendicular with that line. The common point is the only intersecting point is this origin. This row space is this plane. This is two-dimensional, and this, assuming that these are independent, these two rows are. If these two rows are not independent, then this row space will be a line, and this solution space will be a plane, and these two are perpendicular. Perpendicular for this, basically perpendicular in this notation in Rm. It is not this perpendicular notation, still not in any general vector space. We need something more, which is called norm, inner product. Sorry, not norm, inner product. Once we get the inner product in this vector, we'll get what is the perpendicularity and all these things in a general vector space. So it is a column space with the system linear equations. Same thing we can do with, can we do with row space? Yes, but in that case we have to write the system linear equation in the other way, in this way. But generally we write system linear equation in this way. That's why this system linear equation is it's connected with the column space. There is a very interesting thing. So we always do with the row space, but in connection with this column space, system linear equation, we need the column space. So, but all the results are basically deals with column row space, but every result with the row space is true for column space also, and this gives an idea of dual space. So that means the idea of dual space. The row space, dual space of the row space is the actually this column space. Sorry, this is not a dual space. This is actually dual. If you take the transpose of the matrix, the dual. So dual, what is the concept of dual? We will go later on. We will find what is dual and what is connection of dual space and double dual, something like that. Now the important part is, what about if it is not a homogeneous? What is same matrix but not a homogeneous system? Now what about? Now clearly this set of all X is a range of A. The column space of this is a range of the transformation which is same as the column space of A. Now if this is column space of A, now if B is not in the column space of A, whatever, there is no such X for which Ax equal to B. That means it is inconsistent. And if B is in the column space of A, this is consistent. There is at least one. B is in column space means B can be written. B can be written as Ax for at least one X. Consistent. So that means this Ax equal to B, this Ax equal to B has a solution even only if B is in the column space. This even only. Now, if it is inconsistent, okay, is inconsistent, no solution is there. So if say this is, we take B from here outside this blue plane, we take a point, say green point outside this blue plane, then this equation has no solution. But okay, if we take this point inside the plane, say this blue point, this B, now what will be this solution space? The solution space is not a vector space now. And if you just take a close look, you can easily find that this space, this collection of all solution, is nothing but a line which is parallel to this red line. That means it's a flat. That is a flat. So this solutions space is a flat. You know, in three-dimensional geometry, 3D, all the planes, all the intersection of two planes, they are flat actually. They're plane or line. The Solinson space like a flat. It's the coming from the non-homogeneous system. It's coming from the homogeneous system. This is not only a flat, it is a subspace also. And there is a connection with this column space, the obvious connection with the dimension of the column space and the dimension of the solution space, the Navier-Stokes theorem. But what is the connection with these two space? Not the dimension, the two space. This connection is this. If it is a homogeneous system, then actually this is a complementary subspace. You can just think and you can easily see this is why it is complementary, because the dimension, the sum of the dimension, the whole thing, whole dimension in the whole space dimension M. All these vectors are from the Fm. It is a m-dimensional space. In the m-dimensional space, we are doing something. So it is something flat. If it is not homogeneous, if it is homogeneous, it is subspace, which is complementary of this column space, complementary subspace of the column space. If not a homogeneous system, is a flat. We can't talk about the complement, but there is a flat, is a linear shift of this complementary subspace of this linear column space. And this shifting, this parallelity concept, this will be later when we discuss with the inner product, we'll get what is the actual. This idea is actually the parallelity. This perpendicularity idea is when we consider the inner product, we give an idea of angle. And this vector space has a very close idea, parallelity, perpendicularity in Rn. But in general vector space or general field, this idea of parallelity not a intuitive, not a geometrically intuitive, because with a complex number, then something is distorted. Then what is the idea of perpendicularity there? Wow, because it is now not a, you can't draw a line, because this is a one-dimensional. To draw a one-dimensional space, you need a whole plane basically, because the C is a one-dimensional plane. When the C is itself is a field, so that in that case, the concept of this perpendicular parallelity not easy, not intuitive. But once we get into the inner product, we'll see this is actually the same idea, the same concept with this Euclidean geometry in the non-linear space, inner product space. So this is the connection with the system of linear equation and the column space. And same thing we can do with row space, but we need a different type of, a different formulation of this system of linear equation. Now the last topic, this is slightly not similar, this is a slightly different, partition matrix. So partition matrix, why this is important? This is important for computation. So we can take a matrix and we can just partition the two different matrices. Two matrices. No common element will be, no common row will be there. And this is called partition matrix. Why this is very interesting? Interesting in this sense that if you multiply it by another matrix, and you can, in which way? This row or not in this way? You should go to the left side. Right. Right. If you partition by matrix column, same layer. Same layer. If it is a n1, n2, you'll get n1, n2 here. Same layer. Now you can easily see that this matrix is involved with this partition, and this part is involved with this part. So think when it is a 1 cross n, say n1 plus n2 is n. So it is a 1 cross n, say. 1 cross n, two different part. First two different block is called block. N1 is N2, and you have a matrix here, n cross m. M is not important; it's the dimension of this row vectors, and you have a two partition. N1 and then N2. Two blocks. And what do you get? This part will be, because we know this is basically an element of row space. And the first constant, the first scalar of this the left matrix is multiplied with the first row only. That means this matrix multiplication is nothing but this red block with this upper block of this matrix plus a blue block of the pre-matrix with this blue block with this. Oh, then no, it's not add. What will be add? Yes, it will be add. No? It is a n1 cross 1 cross n1. It will be n1 cross n. Yes, it just add plus. That means you need a rows, find the linear combination of these rows of the right hand side matrix. If there are n many rows, you first take the linear combination of n1 manys and n2 manys of the rest, and then take a addition summation. You just add these two parts, and we can do this with the column block also. And obviously there is a matrix, whole matrix block. If the matrix with matrix, you can sort of think of this blocks, and this block is suitable ordering, suitable need a suitable order to every time it is a defined. So it is A, B, C, D. It is some E, F, G, H. You need a suitable thing, and you usually find that A is actually multiplied with its E part, then B is multiplied with the G part, and you have a expression for that. And this basically important for not for the theory. Basically, this is important for the computational purpose. And all of you know this is invented by this partition thing is invented by C.R. Rao for his computational purpose. Several results in partition matrix is invented by C.R. Rao to make the computation easier. And these have some algorithm, and then to show that this algorithm is better than to find the algorithm with to general algorithm, the usual algorithm. That is not a much interesting in the mathematical sense, but this is interesting for the computational sense. But still, this matrix, partition matrix, the blocking partition is very interesting. And to this also you have to learn for to get a deep idea on matrix, basically. How this matrix works, how these columns and interplay with color rows, this type of things you can, if you deal with this partition, then you can learn better. You can go inside of this. And the last thing is Kronecker product. What is Kronecker product? This is one type of product of two matrix. Say this one is given by the partition matrix 0, 5, and we have to say Kronecker product will say 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 5, 1, 5. This is Kronecker product. You need a big thing. You need a 6 cross 6 is 2 cross 2, 3 cross 3, then 6 cross 6. If it is a n cross m, it is a r cross s, this nr cross ns. How? You two different way you can do this. We just take one this and you multiply it with this whole matrix, scalar multiplication 1 2 0 5. Then take 2, right? What is it saying? No, it is on left side. Oh, just a minute. This is on the left side. 1 with this whole thing. So 1 2 3 0 1 5 1 5 1. Then 2 with whole this thing. 2 4 6 0 2 10 2 10 2. Then 0 with whole this thing 0 0 0 0 0 0. And then 5 with this 5 in a partition. Just slightly check whether am I right or wrong. 0 5 25 5 25. So just like that. Aij, A is Aij, then A Kronecker B is a partition matrix, something A11 B, A12 B, dot 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 A1 NM B. So it's a partition matrix, and these all are scalar multiplication. So that's what we just you just check whether I'm right or not.